Hello and welcome to Transfermarkt TV. My name is Stefan Minkowski, he's Manuvet, and today we're talking about something a little irregular. We do tend to cover the big leagues, the big clubs, the big players on this channel, but today we're covering a player who plenty of Bundesliga fans will know about, but plenty of Dortmund fans will know about, and maybe something that a player that Brighton fans will be getting more and more info from as we speak. Of course, talking about Mahmoud Dahoud, who, although he hasn't officially signed for the club, Brighton head coach Roberto De Zerbi more or less confirmed it in his press conference this week, basically saying that they'll be confirming it in the coming days. So we basically wanted to do a quick video looking at what he was good at, what kind of player he is, why things maybe didn't quite work out at Dortmund for him, and what he can offer Brighton in the Premier League next season. So Manu, let's just jump straight into it. Who is Dahoud? Where do they come from? And I guess when you're ready, just kind of jump into what worked for him and what didn't work for him at Dortmund.
Yeah, Mahmoud Dahoud. I actually, first of all, when this is announced, I really like the move for the player and for Brighton as well. Look, things at the end of the day didn't quite work out the way anyone wanted to at Dortmund, right? That's Dahoud and the club. I think this is also the sort of thing where they're going separate ways, knowing that this could have been better, but while also being on still very good terms, right? Which I think speaks quite a lot for the character of the player, but also the club understanding that, sometimes it's just better to move on. In terms of Dahoud, I think Brighton fans can be sneakily very excited about this player, right? This is a player who, when he did join Borussia Dortmund from Borussia Mönchengladbach during the Lucien Favre years, was touted to be the next Ilkay Gündoğan in German football. And, he was actually brought into Dortmund to replace Ilkay Gündoğan in the first place, right? And I still think to this day that that is his actual ceiling. The problem at Dortmund was that he came in under Lucien Favre, a head coach who didn't necessarily bank on him the way that many expected. His first season was, he spent a lot of time on the reserves. He spent a lot of time on the bench. Then his second season, just as he came into form, he had injury problems, right? And then Favre was gone. Stöger came in, went a little bit better under him. Rose comes in, it went a little bit better under him as well. And the problem was shoulder injuries, recurrent shoulder injuries that have more or less kept him out of the lineup towards the at times under Terzic, but also under times under Rose over the last 2 years. And I think that is really where I think both sides kind of drew the line that, they were saying, okay, this isn't obviously working here. We need to maybe move on from you and make room for other players that we want to bring in that fit our style a little bit better. And Dahoud, I think too, just knowing that, having all these fitness concerns and struggling with getting his body ready in Dortmund and just wanted a fresh start. So, this is a story of what could have been in many ways.
Yeah, definitely. It certainly seems to me as though, he'd never really reached his potential at Dortmund. And that's not to say that he wasn't good enough. It's, as you said, consistent injuries and just a constant conveyor belt of new managers at Dortmund, really since Jurgen Klopp left. And when one comes in, he has different tactics, has a different idea for where to play. And perhaps Dahoud was the biggest victim of that because he's a midfielder that can really play just about any role in that midfield three, isn't he, Manu? He can play as a 6, an 8, or perhaps even as a number 10.
Yeah, he's what, I would describe a beautiful footballer, right? Someone who is extremely skilled. He can slow down the tempo. He can speed up the tempo. When he is fit, which obviously has been an issue, he has the ability to dictate play. Similar, in some ways, Gündoğan does this really well, but another player who Dortmund had who did this really well at his height, and for some other reason, it also didn't quite work out, was Julian Weigl, right? Just someone who can really control a match. And yeah, I think that is really something that Dahoud, in terms of being the kind of player he is, I think if he manages to control his body, then he can really bring that to the field. And I still think he's only 27. I still think Ilkay Gündoğan is his ceiling. I think that if he has the right head coach, if he's in the right environment. And I actually think this is why this Brighton move is so great, right? It's south of London. It's a beautiful town. It's a great environment. It's a club that's very forward thinking. It's a head coach who likes midfielders, likes a lot of good midfielders, right? And has actually helped midfielders to get the best out of them. Alexis McAllister is one that everyone raves about. Another one is Pascal Gross, right? Who's actually German, is 31 and is probably playing the best football of his career, is second in scoring at Brighton. So this is a club that can really get the best out of midfielders. And I actually really think that they're getting a very good footballer who has been playing way below his potential. And I think Dahoud is going to a club that's just perfect for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess all eyes will be on whether he is the definitive replacement for McAllister or Caicedo this summer. But I think a better way to look at it, as you said, is that, if players or rather fans are looking for maybe a comparison, maybe Ilkay Gundogan is probably the ideal one, isn't he?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's what Dortmund wanted to do. Everyone in German football, especially you look at some of the reels of what he's done when he was in Gladbach before he went to Dortmund, right? And some of the football that he played there, that talent was obvious for everyone to see. He got capped for the German national team at a very young age. Has only played twice, right? He's born in Syria. His family is Syrian refugees, I believe. So, but he grew up in Germany, is a German national team player, and is still on the radar of the German national team. Obviously hasn't featured much, but everyone in Germany knows of his endless potential. And I can only, when you see the people that are still on his side, and we're talking all the way up to the very top of German football, everyone knows the talent is there, right? And it is really just about unlocking it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully he'll unlock it next season at Brighton. He'll stay fit and he can finally show the kind of player that Dortmund thought they were signing, 7 or 8 years ago. But obviously, until then, do keep your eyes peeled on the Transfermarkt website. If you want to go check out his career stats, you can do exactly that. You can see what he was doing at Gladbach before he joined Dortmund. And of course, to keep an eye on all the transfer rumours and all the deals that will be coming through in the summer window, do check out Transfermarkt. Like this video, subscribe to our page. You guys know what to do. But until then, until next time, thank you and goodbye.